Hey guys, sorry for the massive delay, but holidays just happened, spent some great time with family and friends, but it's the beginning of January, we're back in the office, and all this cold has me thinking of one thing, and that's ice fishing. You know, buying an ice fishing rod or a combo to go target a specific species or technique is no different than buying a bass rod or a trolling walleye rod. There's a ton of options, and in a lot of cases I see a lot of people using overpowered rods for smaller fish or vice versa, underpowered for bigger fish. So I'm gonna give you a breakdown of the type of rods I take ice fishing and what they cover. So what size reels I put on them, what size line, and what species I would use with each rod. We're gonna start off with the lightest kind of rod that I would buy, and they'd be considered an ultralight, but one made of entirely fiberglass. These are great live bait or super ultralight presentation. These are perfect if you're perch fishing or bluegill fishing using super micro baits, or if you want to fish live bait like a live pinhead shiner. I always recommend to be used with a small reel, like a 500 size reel like I have on here, really light line, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6 pound test maximum. If you're using braid, 5 pound braid is perfect. But species, this is a panfish setup. Now opposite of the fiberglass rods are the more sensitive rods, and they're made out of graphite. And usually I'm looking for a medium light rod like this one that has fast or extra fast action. You can see the difference between this rod and that last rod. This one is more for jigging, is gonna be perfect for working things like, turnback shads or small spoons or, little grubs and stuff like that. I'd say small walleye, perch, crappie, bluegill, rock bass, any panfish, perfect rod for doing that kind of thing. And that would be, 18 to 24 inches in a medium light graphite rod. A rod like that, I'm gonna put a 1000 size spinning reel on, load it up with, 2, 4, 6, up to 8 pound test, but usually 6 pound test is a premium line to put on something like that. And that 1000 size reel is gonna hold plenty of it. If I'm using braid, I'm gonna use a 5 pound Power Pro, and I'm gonna put a fluorocarbon leader on the end of it. Very simple setup, works awesome. The one rod you see a ton of, and they're generic, cheap, $6, $8, are these 3 guide rods. They're basically fiberglass mushy, but they're a good all-around, all-purpose starting rod. It's a catch-22 when it comes to guides on the rod. Big guides are better because they freeze less. The problem is they're clunky and they take away from the balance of the rod, and that's typically why when you see rods with big guides, they have fewer of them, where when you compare them to rods with smaller guides, they typically have more of them. I always look for rods that have smaller guides, more of them. It equals to a better bend in the rod. The bigger guides are for when it's dead freezing outside and everything's freezing and you're fishing outdoors, you have no shelter, those bigger guides will play. But a general $9, $10 rod that has, kind of that medium power rated 2 to 6 or 8 pound test will be a great jack of all trades ice fishing rod. It's not gonna be great for panfish, it's not gonna be awesome for walleye or northern pike, but it'll kind of get the job done in both sides. Now when I get up to fishing whitefish, lake trout, walleye, I switch rods completely. And I go to a medium power to a medium heavy power rod. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm fishing heavier line, working bigger baits, and the fish are bigger. 2500 size spinning reels or bait casters in the 150 to 200 size, depending how you like to fish. Medium to medium heavy rods, and you can immediately see how much heavier these rods are. They got a lot more backbone, okay? I use 2 different types. I have a high quality, really, really good graphite rod. This rod is rated 4 to 10 pound test, okay? And this is a perfect thing for me to be using for whitefish, for walleye, for lake trout, because I can throw a bigger turnback shad or a jigging style wrap. I could throw a bigger spoon, like a 3 or 4 or 5 inch spoon, or a bottom hopping lure. Anything like that I can get away with this. The problem when you get to the winter time is if you go with a 10 pound mono or fluoro, they tend to get a little stiffer because of the cold. So that's when braid, like a Power Pro, will really help you a lot. So you run that 10 pound braid, run a 10 or 12 pound test fluoro or mono leader. It doesn't have to be a huge one. 4 feet's typically enough. And then you've got a great setup where you can target just about any fish. And for rod length, when I'm fishing outside, I like to get away with longer rods, 28, 30, 36 inches. But the way this winter's going, a lot of time is gonna be spent in a shed, in a shack, whether it's a portable clam or whatever you're fishing out of. Shorter rods are gonna be king because it allows you mobility to move it inside the shed. So, 18, 20, 24 inches at maximum. So next time you go into the tackle store, take a look around. There's a ton of ice fishing rods, but remember, fiberglass, Really soft rods, great for live bait or micro presentations. A little stiffer graphite rods with a tip action, great for your working baits. And then make sure you match the rod power to the size of the fish you're targeting. Medium, heavy, and medium for walleye, lake trout, pike, and whitefish. Light and ultralight is usually gonna handle your panfish. That's it this week, guys. Hopefully you guys are getting out on the ice and catching some fish. We've got great ice this year. For me, I'd rather be down south targeting bonefish and tarpon and permit, but I'm gonna deal with what Mother Nature is handing out, and that is ice fishing. So hopefully I see you guys on the ice. If not, catch them up, and we'll see you in the springtime, because to be honest, spring can't come soon enough.